Bitcoin is pumping right now, releasing months of built-up energy in only a matter of days. There is a lot going on in the markets right now, and I want to try and break down some of what is actually supporting the crypto markets today and where we might be going. Bitcoin at the time of recording this video is around $7,200, but has actually touched $7,500 on many exchanges today, fully doubling its value since the lows earlier this year. Now the $7,500 mark is an area of previous strong resistance. The next big areas of resistance moving up to watch for are $8,300, $8,500, and $8,900. On the downside, we can watch for support kicking in around $6,500 and $6,200 at the low end. The volume right now, by the way, is also insane. We are reaching levels of the height of the madness of the 2017 bull run, but without the kind of hype that we had at that time, which means that it's the whales, it's the institutions, these are the ones who are buying in right now, and that the retail buyer has yet to FOMO back in like they did in 2017. So with Bitcoin up at $7,500 on some exchanges today, the question comes, is it time to sell? Or is it time to put the popcorn on and watch the fireworks? Personally, I look at Bitcoin as a form of wealth storage. So I am in the popcorn category without a doubt. But watching the price of Bitcoin is incredibly important as it shows the strength in the overall crypto markets. As profits, of course, will be flowing back down into altcoins. And the people exiting those positions from altcoins will exit via Bitcoin or Ethereum, as they are, of course, very high liquidity cryptos. It is worth remembering that last time it only took about 6 weeks to go from around $7,000 to $20,000. And that's not to say that history will repeat itself over the next few weeks, as we are, of course, in a very different market right now from late 2017. But I do feel like most people who have made it through the ups and the downs to make it to this point are not looking to sell anywhere under the previous all-time high. We are heading back to that. The only question is how long it will take to get there. While we may not see that parabolic jump to 20,000 or beyond in the next couple of weeks, the markets are gaining incredibly positive momentum right now. And one thing is for sure, if you think that you know what the price of Bitcoin is going to do tomorrow, you're probably wrong. But if you can see the big picture here and see where these markets are actually going long term, then you will be doing very well in the long term. The current strength of the market I find absolutely amazing. I feel like it's some kind of phoenix moment with Bitcoin rising from the ashes. Just look at all the crazy stuff that is happening, like Bitfinex and the Tether FUD and the Binance hack, and Bitcoin doesn't care. Now Bitfinex, in spite of all of its problems, has circled the wagons, and the big money players are piling in order to bail Bitfinex out. There was a time when the kind of news that Bitfinex has produced recently would have caused so much fear and so much uncertainty in the markets. But now this kind of news is relegated to the who really cares category. But the tether risk has not gone away. However, unless something really dramatic happens in the crypto markets, I see a more likely scenario as kind of a simple, slow move away from Tether, with either a basket of really strong stablecoins sharing the top spots, or perhaps something like Paxos just taking the market share of the stablecoin markets and kind of being the new boss dog of the stablecoins. Then we have the Binance hack, and again, there was a time when a story like this would crash the markets big time. Just imagine if the same thing had happened, like, I don't know, back in December, for example. It would have had a very different effect on the markets. But sentiment is turning into a very positive thing right now, and the strength of the crypto markets really doesn't care about a little cryptocurrency hack of $40 million, even if it was on the biggest cryptocurrency exchange. Now, we could, of course, foresee a bit of turbulence when withdrawals and deposits are actually brought back in on Binance later this week or perhaps early next week, but maybe not. Bitcoin is in full honey badger mode at the moment, so that may not make much of a dent at all. One compelling factor, though, which is influencing markets, is that Bitcoin has become increasingly rare on the open markets, while demand has actually been surging from an increasingly wide range of people who are wanting to get exposure to Bitcoin. Because, to be honest, anyone who made it through the madness of 2018 and the depths of despair of late 2018 and early 2019 is likely to be a hodler. And those people have been buying, those people have been accumulating. They won't be selling for tiny little profits at $7,000. They're accumulating for the big game. The OTC desks, you must remember, only have so much Bitcoin that are available for their big buyers, and miners only mine so much Bitcoin a day. And with the block reward halving event only a year away, we can see that then Bitcoin will become even more scarce on the markets. It is interesting to note, too, that the first block reward halving took Bitcoin from around $12 to $1,100, which was a 90x before retracing all the way back down to $230. The second halving took us from $650 all the way up to $20,000, which is about a 30x for Bitcoin, and then back down to $3,000. How high the next halving event will push us is anyone's guess, but it's going to be high. Also, some are saying that we may not see the new all-time high actually come in before the halving actually happens. That's possible. And personally, I would be very happy with that, because I'm all about accumulating some more cheap Bitcoin, guys. And we have been in a strong accumulation zone recently. Then, of course, there is a lot of noise happening at the institutional regulatory level with Bitcoin and the crypto markets overall. For example, the CFTC is exploring approving Ethereum futures contracts. And that is a very positive move for the crypto markets overall, and especially in terms of approval for Ethereum as an asset, but also for these kind of products to expand beyond Bitcoin, as we currently really only have Bitcoin futures on the CME, as the CBOE is, of course, shutting down in the near future. They're Bitcoin contracts anyway. And the CME futures have actually been roaringly popular, seeing giant volumes recently. Then we have Bakkt, we have LedgerX, and we have ErisX, who are all jockeying to get more Bitcoin futures contracts launched into the markets. It is inevitable to see Ethereum futures launched, just a question of when, not if. And I see this as really good, because currently all of this infrastructure has only been focused on Bitcoin. But as we see institutional interest expand out for other cryptocurrencies like Litecoin or maybe even Stellar Lumens, it will bring a massive level of professionalization to the crypto markets. And can we just stop to imagine for a second if someday we get a Dogecoin ETF? Hashtag Dogecoin standard, guys. Anyway, screw futures. What we really want to know is, when are we going to have an Ethereum ETF? Wait, what about the Bitcoin ETF? Yeah, the Bitcoin ETF, that thing's still out there. It makes me wonder, though, if someone actually knows something that the general public doesn't at the moment. And is this why the price is surging? The approval of a Bitcoin ETF, when it passes, will likely rock the market substantially. If insiders have got some kind of wind that an ETF approval is coming soon, then that may indeed be one of the many factors which is contributing to the current run that we're seeing in Bitcoin. Interestingly, just 3 days ago, we saw a new crypto ETF application put into the SEC. Now, this is actually an index product linked to the price of Bitcoin and Ethereum, so exposure to both of those assets. And it's curious timing, of course, considering them saying that they're open to Ethereum futures contracts. But of course, that still needs approval, and it's cool. But the real question is, when will the SEC approve any of the many ETF applications that it has on its desk today? Of course, we can add into that institutions have been accumulating, guys. Fidelity and Bakkt are both launching in the near future. To think that these two big players have not been taking full advantage of the market situation and piling up on Bitcoin on the sly, I think would be naive at this point. Fidelity actually technically has a limited service already available for select clients, but is only weeks away from making Bitcoin investing available to its millions of big money customers. And they have been training their sales teams to sell Bitcoin to those clients. Bakkt, of course, has not disappeared either, guys, even though it's on the DL right now. It will launch. It's just a matter of time. Then, of course, we have E-Trade and we have Ameritrade, and they're both bringing in Bitcoin soon. It's getting pretty big, guys. Research by Fidelity recently revealed that 22% of institutional investors have already invested into digital assets, which is actually pretty massive. Now, that may not mean that they are directly buying Bitcoin, but could, for example, be that they are, taking equity in companies like Coinbase. But even if they're doing that, it is still a bet on the ecosystem, which is a good thing. And it's also found that nearly half of all those surveyed see a place for digital assets in their investment portfolios, which is super awesome. I would say right now that big money players are going to be among the big buyers and are probably what's making a lot of the market moves at the moment. Retail has not FOMO'd back in, but is retail FOMO coming soon? It's a curious question. And the question, at what price does retail actually start FOMOing back in hard? A big move in the previous bull run happened like this when Bitcoin, of course, rose from 5,800 to 7,500 in just a few days, and it corrected really hard after that, all the way back down to 5,800, and then it boomed straight up to 20K. Now, this 6-week period brought big media attention to crypto and led to a massive amount of people piling into crypto. That is when retail FOMO'd in previously. Now, I give you this example not to say that history is necessarily going to repeat itself, but to give you the perspective that things can happen very quickly and can surprise us. Last time people really started to get in kind of after the 10K mark, and when the retail crowd does actually show up in force, and they will, loads of money will start flowing into altcoins, as Bitcoin at $10,000 or $20,000 will be seen as expensive by many people, but alts will look comparatively cheap. And I know that you know that Bitcoin is still a great value, even if the unit price is expensive, but we have a wave of new money investors that will be coming in. And those people won't see things the same way. They want 100x. They want 1,000x. They want coins for under a cent or under $1. Not the 4 or 5x that Bitcoin might offer. The renewed interest in ICOs also via the IEO boom might be something of a canary in the cage in terms of trying to show us where the money is going and where the money is being generated right now. Add into this that there has been so many big stories this year, and this all increases the price of Bitcoin, and that price increase was inevitable. Massive companies are starting to accept cryptocurrencies like Japan Railways, which is a monumental story. And in fact, retail adoption is bigger than it has ever been. And some of the world's biggest and most powerful companies are getting into crypto. Now, some of those companies are, like the BS Facebook Zuck Bucks, which will introduce crypto to a large audience of people, which is a positive for that, but it's still Facebook, guys. So, Zuck Bucks. But then you do have companies like Ernst & Young, which are releasing the Nightfall software for Ethereum, which I find to be absolutely amazing for them to be supporting a public network like that. Also, a fun story that came out today is that Blockstream and GoTenna are teaming up to bring Bitcoin to a wider audience, specifically to people without direct internet connections. Now, GoTenna is a radio relay service, and Blockstream, of course, has a network of satellites covering a large percentage of the world's population. This would be great in terms of being a step to delivering Bitcoin, into emergency zones, for example, or even to underserved populations in developing countries. Anyway, even though we may try to find this one event or that one thing that is moving the price of Bitcoin, the reality is that this year has been insane when it comes to the announcements being made and about the things that are being built right now for the crypto economy. And when we take a look at the big picture of crypto, we can understand why you have exuberant permabulls, people like Tim Draper that are out there still calling for the $250,000 Bitcoin, or the market cap of Bitcoin being around 5% of the global currency market by 2023, which is crazy when you think about it. And it really actually doesn't seem all that outlandish when you take everything into account and you see what's being built and the increasing interest from institutions and all these different players coming into cryptocurrencies. Anyway, guys, as always, just my 2 Satoshis on the topic. You will let me know what you think the reasoning for the big price surge is that we have seen recently down below in the comment section. As always, thank you so much for watching today's video. And if you're new around here, make sure to check out Cryptocurrency Explained. It is a free course to let you know how to get into cryptocurrency, understand what all this crazy stuff is. Or if you start getting those phone calls from friends that you haven't heard from in a long time because the price of Bitcoin's starting to go up and they're saying, hey, Bob, what about that Bitcoin thing? You still into that? Send them over to the course, guys. You don't have to explain it all to them. I got a nice course there explaining everything for anyone who's getting into the space. And if you did enjoy today's video, leave a thumbs up on it, guys. You can always subscribe to the channel if you are new around here. Long live the blockchain, and peace out till next time.